What's up, millennials? Nina Pop here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I am actually doing something a little bit different. You all know that I'm always inspired by you, your stories, your experiences, and things like that, and how you are impacting this world. And today I have some amazing people who sat down with me and took the time to share their experiences, their journeys, and just a call to action for us that's also looking to bridge that gap and be the change in this world. So the video is definitely lengthy, but it is no part that needed to be left out. So we're going to do the whole thing. If you can't sit and watch the whole thing, I understand. Definitely save it to your watch later so you can find it later, but it's a really good video. I'm going to link all of their pages down below. So definitely follow them on their journeys and connect with them. But let's get right into the video.
All right. Yep. Yeah. My name is Tiffany. My sign name is Tiffany. Um, I was born deaf. I grew up and went to a mainstream school. Currently, I'm a single mom. I have a daughter. She's 26. For most of my life, I've worked in childcare as a provider, taking care of kids. Did that for a long time. I really enjoyed working with the really young ones. Um, so that's what I'm currently or have done.
And Kyle.
Yep. So my name is Kyle, and sign name is Kyle, like this. I've been a believer for 8 years. I have 4 children, all girls, and all girls. So I live in Houston, Texas. I was born deaf. I grew up and also went to a mainstream school.
And next we have Bianca.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello again, my name. Sorry, kids were coming by. Bianca, and my name is Bianca. I was born and raised in California for 39 years. Then we moved here to Texas, to Houston. I've been here for 4 years. I have deaf kids as well. I have a daughter, she's 22. My son is 19. I have an adopted daughter, she's 11. Adopted son, he's 9. And finally, the little baby is 7. I'm a full-time mom. So, yep, there you go.
Then we have Lampra.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My name's Lampra. Lampra. I wasn't born deaf. I became deaf later due to illness. Um, my parents were like, "What are we gonna do with that situation?" Hmm. This is like I have a child that's 13. Uh, I teach at school. I teach sign language classes, and as a deaf assistant to the program.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And then we have Miss Michelle.
Hi, yep, my name is Michelle, and my saying name is Michelle. Somebody deaf had given me that. A deaf blind person gave me that because of a mission-minded heart. So we understood. Accepted that. I work in Arizona in the school systems, community programs. I also the church director for our missions team, working with deaf individuals at the church. My typical job is as a custodian, and that's where most of my work is. And I work in this field for 35 years. I work in a mainstream school. My parents, they're rare. They actually know sign language, which is not typical for deaf people. I'm very fortunate that my parents learned that language to communicate with me. I have two siblings. They've also sign as well. So we had a great family of communicators. I love everything that I've been able to do. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
And we have Lana.
Hello, everybody. Yep. So my name is Lana, and my sign name is this. I was born hearing, but when I was about 16-ish, just recently, I became hard of no, sorry, 6 years ago. 6 years ago, yeah, I became hard of hearing. I have a deaf sister. My father's hard of hearing as well. I'm a teacher's aide and also a hairdresser. I have two children. Yeah. And I have a good friendship with Bianca. Sorry. Oh, I'm
From
sorry, from
Boston.
Boston. Yes, that's right. That's right. You're Boston, from Boston. Right. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'll say hi to Bianca anyway.
I love it. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. And so now we're going to get into the questions. And the very first question I have, because it is the month of September, so it's Deaf Awareness Month. And what does that mean?
What does that mean to us? Lamper's asking.
Yes.
Okay.
And you all can go in any
Well,
order you
Kyle.
want, Kyle.
So Deaf Awareness Month means that we need to continue to educate the world about how they can collaborate with us, work with us, provide interpreting, accessibility, equal access. Hearing people should not be deciding what our appropriate accommodations are. We know what's best for us, and that's the one whose voice should be heard, and people should honor and respect that. So those are some things. And then, so Lana's asking, stand up for our rights. That's what it means this month. So Bianca says, for me, it's like Deaf Awareness Month. A month isn't enough. Should be every day, year in, year out, right? People, we need to constantly exposing and educating people. We're here. We're not less than they are. We're the same as everybody else. And so it's a fight that goes way beyond a month. Yeah, and Kyle agrees. It's like it's an everyday thing.
I love that. And who wants to go next? Miss Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle. So in my opinion, a lot of people, they just don't understand like our need for an interpreter. It's valuable, right? We need access. It's a little different than other disabilities and something that we're struggling with, trying to get an interpreter there for a doctor's appointment or when we want to do any variety of things. It's like access that has to be provided, an interpreter has to be provided. The ADA is a law that exists, and it's existed since what, 2000s or something like that. And so, but that's almost like 25 years, and people still just don't understand how to provide an interpreter so that we have access to opportunities. There's a lot of educational needs as well as have already been mentioned. So we have to keep fighting for educating, for getting our rights and everything of that nature. Yeah. So I just would add to what was just said. It's been very frustrating today, 2025, this time already. We've been struggling still to fight to get in interpreters. We see people providing any other language, Asian, Spanish, or whatever, whatever that's available. And people are like more than willing. They bend over backwards to do it for these other communities. And we're just asking for a sign language in our language. So what's the difference? But it's still frustrating that it doesn't happen. Deaf Awareness Month, as Tiffany's saying, well, we talked about rights, we talked about equality and opportunities. I would like to also add teaching people that even the deaf community isn't a standardized community, right? You might meet somebody, and Lambert's totally on board with that, so that we are just as diverse as everybody else. It's not just one cookie cutter mode. And so, some use American Sign Language, some use Pidgin Sign Language, some people are deafened later in life. And so, yeah, ASL is a value of our community, but I just want to know that you don't meet one, you've met them all. And so our accommodations are also different for each deaf person. It's not just one thing that I might need, somebody else might need something else. So those are one of the things with that. And Lampre's totally on board with that. Already, yes. And Lampre then, so I'll just add to what Tiffany was saying. Deaf people, that's how hearing people think. You're all the same. Your needs are the same. You look the same. You need whatever. Your language is, it's just like, no, 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 no. No, you have deaf blind, what are their needs and stuff like that. You have people with other disabilities. You have people that use cued speech and so forth. It's just like, again, increasing that awareness. Get us out of this box so that people see that we're different.
I love that. I love that. And actually, that kind of leads into my next question because a lot of times, representation, of course, in any community is super important. Like, you get excited when you see someone that speak your language, look like you. When it comes to your experiences, one, how does it feel when you're in a space that's accessible, but also how does it feel when it's not, like when those needs or accommodations are not being met at the doctor's office, at the local grocery store, or wherever?
The Lamper is like, if I'm in a act, really, there's cohesion, right? I'm able to connect with people if I'm in that space where I am representative and there's that ability to just relate, right? Otherwise, you're isolated. All these other situations, you're so isolated, and I get angry about it. I get angry because that is destructive. To me, it's not beneficial. It's simple that we need communication. And again, like we've already said, it's 2025. I have no idea why this is still an issue. It's just insane. Kyle? Yeah, so I'd asked Lambert. So just recently, I was in an inclusive situation, and it still was very discouraging because the deaf person and their mother, they just, they just had this kind of pampering mode, and so it's just like, I'm like request an interpreter and trying to get that involvement for my daughter and stuff like that. So fighting that fight, and so they're just like, again, refusing the situation. So in these situations where they don't provide it, it's so discouraging, it's disheartening, and finally made me have to take my daughter somewhere else to somebody that's like, they helpfully, happily encouraged and accepted my situation. And that again then makes my heart fill up, because it's just like, I have the same issues with my children. We have the same struggle. I'm a mom just like everybody else. And finding somebody that helps make that possible, it just moves us along much better. And Tiffany will add, especially with children. So when I think of my daughter, she's able to hear. So she's a child of deaf adults. It's abbreviated CODA. I remember back when she was 5 or 6 and we would go to her teacher's class and I'd want to talk to the teacher. The teacher would look to my daughter and ask her to interpret for me. I'm like, whoa, 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 wait. She's 5. Don't be asking a 5-year-old to do this. But then you see, they depended on that. And it's like, what are you doing? And so a lot of times you'll see people use children of deaf adults as their interpreter. Yeah, and Lamprey again is very inclusive. So, Doc, I'm going to go off the child part. I'm going to talk about dining. Okay, I like food. So I'm just talking about drive-throughs. At nighttime, got a craving for something, talk about whatever type of food like that, McDonald's, an ice cream, whatever, Burger King, anything like that. I head through the drive-through. There's a machine right there. I can't communicate with that machine. I have to then drive up to the window, give them a piece of paper. or you show it on my phone, then I have to pull over to the waiting spot and they wait to bring out the food. I'm like, no, 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 no. Everybody else goes through, it's food delivered, you're on your way. I want that same thing. So that with drive-throughs, it's just like, and they even like get tired. I see attitude coming back from people because they don't want to take this extra step. And so like, yeah, Kyle says, I have to walk into the restaurant. I can't even use the drive-through sometimes. So Michelle's like, yeah, yeah. Those people that are like, even like, they're like, read my lips, or can you read my lips? And you look at them and they get again pull this attitude, and you can see that they're not being very accommodating at all. And they almost like oppress in that moment to a severe degree.
Thank you all for sharing that. And that leads me to so we kind of talked about it, but then we talked about the other part too. So I'll ask both together. You all mentioned that some people are born deaf, some people are the only deaf people in the family, some people are late deaf. So, with those experiences, and just whenever the shift happened, if you were born deaf, what was it like growing up? If you're late deaf, how has it been just kind of switching and I don't know, pushing through life? What has been your experience with that? Do your family know sign language? Are you the only one? Just share that experience that you all have been having.
Right.
Yeah.
Lana?
See? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, my sister's deaf, so I always like grew up like with the basics of sign language. I'm still continue to learn, but it's been difficult for me because when you are born hearing and then later in life become hard of hearing, I now understand and I see the challenges that the deaf faces. So I'm like stuck between both worlds. It's been really challenging for me, um, not because I'm ashamed of or any way of the deaf community, but um, just the way I see the hearing community like treats the deaf community. I'll give you an example. When I go to the restaurant, if I miss a word or I can't understand, or I tell the waiter that um, I'm hard of hearing, like sometimes I really hear them underneath their breath, like sighing, like, and that's really frustrating for me. And a lot of times I go to the restaurant with my deaf friends and I choose not to be the translator and talk for them. I like just fully go on deaf and I make the waiter work as to so she can learn how to communicate with the deaf community. And it bothers me because I hear the sighing and the frustration, and they think just by talking louder that helps me more. It doesn't help. I still miss words and it just gets really annoying. It's sad. So it's been, taking a lot for me to um deal with everything. And even more, I want to put that fight so that we can stand up in deaf community so that we can have just as fair enough access as everyone else.
Thank you for sharing.
So,
Lampra?
I'm probably to add to it. So I was with so I was in an accident, and so it was just like crazy. The situation was going like they wouldn't just work with us in the situation that was going on, right? And so we have these two worlds colliding, and I'm like, you need to work with me. It's not just it's not just about accepting deafness, but it's like I don't like have to struggle with accepting hearing, right? That's not a struggle for me and stuff. And so I'm like thinking, why do people like walk this line? They seem to just like split back and forth between these two sides. So for example, if you use speech, I'm completely deaf, right? And stuff like that. So, but if I'm in a situation where I'm signing and somebody like, well, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. She's not deaf, because of how she's communicating. And it's just like you're creating this boundary. And I don't know how to respond to that situation with people. It's like, this is deafness, accept me as I am. I guess I don't like struggle with hearing people accepting others in that situation. So I just feel lost as to what to do at times. For myself, I've just stopped trying at times to fit in. Sometimes with the deaf community, I've stopped trying to fit in with the hearing community. I just, this is me. And I've had to like pull out of some situations because of that, because of people not being willing to accept. I love it when people accept me, right? It's just like, I want to be accepted. But just my experience is there's problems on both sides. And I wish I'd been born deaf. Um, um, I don't wish I had to go through some of these struggles and things that I had with my. So I was born deaf, but then. Okay. So as a late deaf individual, so I wasn't born deaf. I was a late deafened individual, and so that's created like similar situations like what Lana's talking about, is that there's all these other problems that come up. You're not accepted by the deaf community because they'll be like, well, I was born deaf and I have deaf pride because of my geneticness to deafness, and you're a lesser human being because of that. And I'm like, whoa, 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 wait. We are both deaf. Why is that not enough? And so what's the issue? But I've seen that again, being stuck in these two worlds, just like what Lana's talking about. And I'm just like, I've washed my hands of it. I washed my hands of it. And Kyle expresses her sorrow for what Lampra has experienced. And Lampra, thank you. Thank you for that.
Who's next? Kyle?
So if a person is born hearing or deaf, we typically know that, like for me, it was happening at 2 months of age. Probably had meningitis of some sort, and it led almost to my death. But it wasn't until 2 years that my parents realized that I had become deaf. And then I was put in a school, for lack of better learn, Albany School. When I was 6, they forced me to have an implant, cochlear implant. I did not want it, but they forced that on me. And so that was when I got my first implant. At that time, sign language was not permitted. They wouldn't let me do that. They might use some signing exact English or SEE to help me learn English grammar and some English words. But once I got the implant, then it became, they did not allow me to use sign language or learn sign language. I've had my implant replaced twice. It makes me think, I want to be involved with my family, and so I agreed to that a little bit. But again, it's just interesting. In high school, didn't have many deaf students in the school, so there wasn't an opportunity to be socializing. I had somebody teach me a little bit more about deaf culture, and what they said was actually full of bull. They're some well-intended people, but they've done some awful things and told me really detrimental things about the deaf community, and did their best to raise me as a hearing individual. My first contact with the deaf world and the community where I actually got to experience was here at church. When I became a believer in this church, then this is where they showed me a totally different world than what I had been raised to hear and see about language and access and acceptance. And so this church has been revolutionary to me. And Lamper says, I love that story. So Tiffany says, again, I was born deaf. My parents didn't know until I was about 15 months that I was deaf. And at that time, there was no Google, no internet or anything like that. So again, my parents went to a mall and just so happened and see a mother signing with her deaf children, and mom and dad asked her about that. She goes, oh yeah, my daughter's deaf. And then she's like, well, come. This mother invited my mom and taught her signing exact English, as Kyle was talking about. And so they picked it up and they worked on doing that. And so it's about 21 months when I started to be exposed to that. I was at a hearing school with a deaf program, so it was a mainstream program, but they worked with deaf kids in a classroom. So that was primarily, I used Signing Exact English for those formative years. Finally, at 14, I went to a camp for deaf students, and that's the first time I saw ASL. Oh my goodness, that was so overwhelming. And after that, I've just made that my native language, of course, to use. All my family is hearing except for me. I'm the only deaf person. We don't know why. It was just luck of the draw. Kyle has a comment. Yep. Kyle, so I just want to clarify. So I grew up with C, and then they forced me into oral programs. And then in my 20s, that's what they went to pigeon signed English. And so now that I'm here in the church, then it's more ASL. And so that's what then pigeon signed English. And so I just want to clarify those language variations I've been in. So Bianca says, I was born hard of hearing. My dad is deaf. My dad's side of the family, generationally, full of deaf people. We are 8 generations of deaf family members. My grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, nephews, nieces, deaf, goes on. My mom is the only one on her side of the family. So we have 4 brothers and sisters that are deaf, 3 that are hearing. Again, I was born hard of hearing, but it's more like I could speak, right? I could speak on the phone and I could hear words and everything like that. But as I was growing up, my hearing started to be detrimental. And so my right ear is pretty much totally deaf. The left ear, I use a hearing aid for that. So I depend on my left a lot for hearing. When I became pregnant, the third pregnancy, the doctor warned me, said, these continued pregnancies are going to lead to more hearing loss as you age and are pregnant. I'm like, I don't care. I have a deaf family. That's not an issue for me. So the first and second birth, yep. And then after that, subsequent children. And so I stopped being able to use the telephone and I had to become more dependent upon my hearing aid. I'm grateful for who I am as a deaf pride. Yep, that's, I love it. So yeah. And Kyle says, I didn't know that pregnancy had led to that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Who's next? Who's next?
Well, so Lana says that if I continue to have children, I wonder if I would have lost more hearing. And then sorry, 2 conversations going on. And then so Michelle's talking about her history, about her family already knowing and learning sign, and so her experience being different. And again, just growing up that way, learning ASL from the deaf community, didn't ever learn signing exact English, SEE, maybe saw some of it in church perhaps, but I learned pretty quickly not to like it as a coding system. But yeah, I'm so grateful for ASL. And said that, so of course, I've been around in the deaf community. So that's the big thing that makes a difference.
Okay. And so my next question is.
So yeah, ASL world. Yeah, that makes a big.
Okay. My next question is, now we kind of talked about this before, but so I personally believe that there is a gap between deaf and hearing communities, and it shouldn't be, but I feel like it is. I see it online, I see it offline, in different spaces. Do you think that it's a gap between the deaf and hearing communities? And if so, what's a way that we can bridge, or at least start to bridge those gaps? I know we've been fighting for it for years, but what could we do now in 2025?
So, Lana, have Kyle's school providing education. So like they provide French, Italian. Why not provide American Sign Language? Kyle said that. So then, Lana, what was your comment again? I think like in movies, right? So it's like, why are we forced to do that? There should be captioning in every movie. That would expose people so that they would see that. Lamper's all over for that too. Yeah, loves that idea. And then Tiffany, or were you done, Lana? Lana, were you done? Yeah, okay. So Tiffany, so yeah, I agree with both of those comments about how to bridge the hearing and deaf communities. What? Sorry, somebody was signing. Wait, Lana or Michelle or Lampra? I'm sorry, I'm trying to get. So anyway, so Tiffany's talking about this man would have. So Tiffany's saying there are deaf people that feel they are better than other deaf people. So even within the community, that issue takes place. And it's just like we as individuals go, look, who we are as a deaf person wasn't our choice. We are just part of this community. But there are strong that's like, no, we went to a school for the deaf. You went to a mainstream school. So that's an issue even within the deaf community that needs to be resolved. When I then think with hearing people, that pseudo empathy, oh, you've missed out on your baby crying, you've missed out on this one thing. I'm like, I did not miss anything. What I miss is the relationship with people. That's what I value, is like, it's the sounds don't matter, it's relationships that matter. So I just wanted to add that to these. And then Bianca, to try to help that gap, I think there's like clubs, right? Is like where there used to be deaf get-togethers and hearing get-togethers. We need to have an intermingling. You know, there's some type of whether it's through a dance club or events or something like that, but just host something that gets people together. And Kyle's like, dancing? Yeah, so my parents, they used to have deaf clubs back in the day, and that was awesome. And you know, I got to experience that and see what was going on, and now they don't exist anymore, and people are more siloed. And so I get to want to see these greater events where people come together. So my perspective, in Lawrence, South Dakota, there are hearing and deaf people that meet together, and it was good because they understood one another. They understood the variety of different people and stuff like that. So everybody could sign. So a hearing person would meet a deaf person and they all commute equally. So this is Martha's Vineyard. Sorry, Martha's Vineyard in Alpha, Maryland. So that community existed. So let's recreate that community, right? Where they're both just a community and not one part separated from another.
I love that. So speaking of, because actually me and Kyle, we were kind of having this conversation behind the scenes. For people who want to learn sign language like me, do we just go to anybody online and learn, or how should we be learning sign language so we can start to recreate that? Either or.
Okay, Lumpra, Kyle. Okay, Kyle. So if you want to learn sign language online, do not have a hearing instructor. You know, I mean, you're stealing an opportunity from a deaf person. There are deaf people that have platforms, and so follow those on your social media or Facebook or whatever, like that. If a hearing person can sign, make sure that they are a certified interpreter or a certified instructor. Again, those are secondary, tertiary, way down the line, a deaf instructor. And Bianca, yep, wholeheartedly agrees.
And Lumpra?
And so Lampra, what I was thinking about is if you're going to use the internet, there's a company called LifePrint. LifePrint, great instruction, great instruction. So that's a recommendation. And then there's also Sorry.
ASL.
Bloom. Yeah.
Bloom.
That's another resource. So these are my first and two. So LifePrint is my first recommendation, and ASL Bloom would be my second. And so they would also teach these things.
Lingbano.
Yeah, Lingbongo is another one. That's also a pretty good resource. I like them. So those are three different locations that I would specifically say they're all led by deaf instructors. Get out too. Meet somebody. Don't just depend on the internet. Don't be afraid. Put yourself out there. So you learn via online, but you also learn by interacting. Mistakes are going to happen. It's quite all right. Just put yourself out there. That's how we learn, right? We learn by challenging ourselves, by interacting, by meeting people, by using whatever resources we have and getting all that exposure.
Miss Michelle.
I like YouTube. ASL That is another resource. Yep. Got agreement for that. And then Bianca says, what do you guys think about Bill Vickers? So that's ASL, that's LifePrint. So Bill Vickers is LifePrint. So that's the same person. Yeah. So LifePrint.
I actually bought his course, so I've been trying to do it. I'm starting with ASL 1, but let me ask you all, if you, let's say, like I go to a deaf church, some of y'all know that, but if I don't really know sign language, should I still use the little bit I know, or should I wait till I'm fluent to come around deaf people? Like, should I still go to deaf events, or would that be like, no, wait, wait until you're fluent?
Out and go, Lampra says. Go. Do not let anything stop you. Go. Kyle agrees. There's no waiting. You just get out there. Yeah. And that's also
Yes.
same thing.
And that's one thing I really love about my church, because y'all don't let me lean on English. It's like, no, you sign. No one's gonna help you. And I love that. And you all just accept me for, like, when I'm confused, you'll repeat the sign and different things like that. And that's how we learn anything. So thank you all for that. And that kind of leads me to one of the last.
Lampra wants to just add in then a question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of CODAs teaching sign? What's your guys' opinion? So Tiffany says it depends. Bianca says my daughter is a CODA, and so she is a full advocate of the deaf world. I mean, she's been involved with our family and stuff like that. So she knows how to sign and interpret for deaf people. So I believe she can teach ASL. That's okay for her. So some CODAs, yeah. And so then Kyle says, like, it just depends. You have to see what's their experience. What's their background? Do they, my own children, they have interpreted for me, but I'm trying to teach them, you're not my interpreters. You are my children. But I do agree with what Bianca says. CODAs are the next best. Again, down that scale of who to pick as an instructor.
So something you mentioned earlier, Kyle, you were talking about how you know what accommodations you need. So when it's something like a school or whatever the case may be, and you have a hearing person that's, let's say, they're advocating, but they're doing all the talking, and they're like, oh, just put the captions on, that's enough, or whatever it is that they're suggesting. What do you think about that? Like, I understand hearing people need to know their places in the deaf community, but I want to hear from you.
That makes me upset, right? When that happens, I'd be very upsetting to me. My words are my words, right? I don't need somebody to overlap or take over. I can do this. Don't disempower me. I am empowered as a deaf person. I am a mother. I know what's best for my children. No one has the right to oppress me in that manner. The same thing with doctor's office. I'll go in and I'll have an interpreter, and I want an interpreter there, and they say, nope, you can use an electronic device, video relay interpreting, and stick an iPad in front of me. And again, it's just like, are you kidding me? I want a live person. And it just happened this last month. I was at a doctor's, I made an appointment. I wanted an interpreter, something went askew, and they put this iPad with a video relay interpreter in there, and I waited an hour because the internet kept crashing and it wouldn't work. So I sat there wasting an hour of my time, and finally the doctor decided, hey, we're just going to use a laptop and type back and forth. So it happens all the time. And the bottom line, no one has the right to take my power from me. This is my words. This is my language. These are my opinions. I get the right to express them. Yeah, so Lambert says, yeah, I would just add, as a late deafened individual, I see a lot of interpreters like they step into something, with what their thoughts are. And I'm like, you don't need to do that for me. I can do what I need to do. Okay. If I need to argue, if I need to express myself, whatever, it's me. I do not need you. You are not needed in this role. So I've seen that with some interpreters at times where they disempower me as an individual. And I have to draw the line. I say, nope, it's not going to fly. It's not going to work. I mean, it happens. I mean, not with all interpreters, but sometimes. And Kyle says, I always have to advocate for us, for our rights. And then Michelle was saying with captions, they're never adequate. But also, reading English, that's a skill that some people have and some people don't. Do you understand? Does the person understand the English that's being conveyed? I mean, again, we need some people, again, it's what is their accommodation, and provide both if they need both. So Kyle's like, both. Like, I mean, ASL, though, you have to remember, and captioning are still two different languages, right? Captioning is English. ASL has its own structure, its own grammar, rules. It's completely different. So you can't, they don't equal out at all.
Anybody else want to add something? No? Okay, and then my last question, just a little fun question. What's your favorite sign?
Kyle's mine, I love you. Lana's is
Yeah,
my I love you sign. I love you sign. I love you sign. And Tiffany's is mine's what's up. I like what's up. Lumper's thinking. There's so many. There's so many to
it's
choose
so
from.
big.
It's tough. And Bianca says, I agree with you. There's so many.
Let's see.
So Tiffany says my mom's favorite sign was turtle.
Turtle. That's cute. Turtle.
Turtle.
That might be my new favorite sign. It was sweetheart, but I don't know.
Oh.
I kind of like turtle.
Oprah maybe has something. Okay. So okay, nerd. I'm a nerd. I'm a big nerd. Okay. So I love the sign nerd. Right. That's one of the signs I like is nerd.
I love it. And Miss Michelle, you did a
That's
sign.
who
I
I
missed
am,
it.
because that's who I am. It's like I like, so Bianca is like when somebody gets on my nerves and stuff like that, I make this sign with puffing my cheeks and this sign for who, and it means like, oh my goodness, like my kids, woo, they're about to push mom over the line. So that's just like, stop, get off that nerve. You're on my last nerve.
I love it. Miss Michelle, what was the sign that you did? I missed it.
I love this. So it's called Kiss Fist. It means I love it. I love it.
I love that. All right.
Yeah. I like this sign says it's not my fault. It isn't. It ain't me. Don't put that on me. I'm not. It's not me.
I love it. And then my last final question is it's not even a question. Is it anything else that you want to add to this video? Because it will be posted. So anything else you just want to say, suggest people stop doing, anything? Yes, Miss Michelle.
So it's complex, but the sign for birthday, and there's multiple signs for birthday, kind of depends on where you're at. I'm wondering what people's sign is for pizza. One person, they showed me a sign. It wasn't the same as somebody else was signing, but they didn't. I'm not saying they signed it wrong, but it just has a totally different meaning. But again, depends on locally. So pineapple, pineapple. These are some of these different signs. Um, uh, computer, computer, computer. So we have to be accepting. I think that's one of the things is language is flexible. It doesn't mean something's wrong when they do something a certain way. It just means that they sign it different. That's something I'd want to add.
Kyle?
I do want to mention one thing. If a deaf person has a hearing or hearing aid or a cochlear implant, it doesn't mean they're hearing, right? These devices have different purposes. My wearing one, I might be okay with it, but I use it as just to help me communicate with my family, like, or to listen to music. That's my purpose for using it. I also don't believe in implanting children with a cochlear implant in babies. I'm firmly against that. That's child abuse, in my opinion. You should wait until they have the right to old enough to make a choice and they can know better about what's going on. I wish that had happened with me. I wish my parents had respected me at that time, but they didn't. They made me have this against my will. So Bianca's, Tiffany, Bianca. I want to, with hearing parents that have deaf children, accept who they are. Teach them sign language. Put them in a school where they can learn sign language. Don't try to change who they are. Don't try to forcibly implant them and change them into something they're not. Respect their autonomy. You know, when they get older, then they'll be able to choose what they want. And they should give this child that same opportunity. So that's my advice for hearing parents. Anybody that's born a deaf child is learn what you can, take sign language classes. There's so many opportunities in places that will help you with your raising your child. And then Tiffany, I want to say, please pay attention. Are we ready? I got your attention. The phrase, can you read? All deaf people understand that language, but they didn't say who can't understand. So the phrase that says, every time I meet some hearing person, they're like, can you read my lips? And I'm like, I know what that looks like, right? But then if I say yes, then they just take off and I'm lost. You know, that phrase, can you read my lips? Yeah, we get that part, but everything that follows after that, so don't even go that way. Don't even bring that up. So that's my piece of advice.
That's a really good point. That was something I had to learn when I first came to the church. I'm like, looking around for someone that can read lips or that speak English, and I was just so nervous in the corner. And then it was a lady, God rest her soul, Miss Patricia, and she would just not do it. She like, nope. You're gonna learn today, and I appreciated that. I really did. So thank you for reminding us of that. Like, no, we're gonna learn some sign language. Who wants to go next? Lampra.
So I have a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think of deaf people and I'm like, civility, right? As late deafness people, deaf people, kindness, being nice. People are trying to figure out their space, right? They're trying to figure out their world. Please be kind, be nice as we try to travel this journey and figure things out. It'd be nice, even in the deaf community, right, to recognize that I might not know some signs. I might not know some things. Be nice, be nice, be nice. If someone asks me if I can read lips, I will say, do you understand my signs? Sign right back him. Yeah, I don't answer that question. I just like, like, what? What? I'm like, well, we're on equal ground finally.
I love that.
So, and then Kyle wants to add to what Lemper just said. Her 2 points. Please don't tell us. We'll tell you later. Another hideous phrase. Oh, that's important, or truncating, something like that. Include us. All of us.
So
100%
like
beginning to end.
at like dinners and stuff, like I'll say Thanksgiving dinner. That's like the biggest one. If you're at the table with your family and they're not speaking sign language, you're saying like, don't say I'll tell you about the joke later, like that.
Yeah, and so in my home, my family's dinner, we're sitting around the table, and my husband, who is a hearing individual, has house rules. If you don't sign, you don't talk at all. But yep, full on board with
I
that.
love that. Yes. Well, thank you all so much. Is if it's nothing else, anybody else want to add something else? Oh, we got Lampra. I don't want to miss anything.
Lon, where'd you get your shirt? Where'd you get your shirt? Where'd you get your Deaf Vibe shirt? Yeah, yeah, Lana, where'd you get that Deaf Vibe shirt? I got it for my birthday. Somebody gave it to me for my birthday. I don't know where they got it from. So, and then Bianca's asking to see it. She can't see it. Can you pull your hair back so she can read the whole shirt? Oh, Deaf vibes. Yeah, Kyle's wanting to know where you got it. You want the
I
team
love
wants to know where you
that.
got it. So she said maybe I can find out, but I don't know. It was a gift. Yeah, Lampra's like, I love it. I love it.
I
Okay.
love it. Yes. Tiffany, that was something you mentioned before too about supporting deaf businesses, not just this month, but every month. You had said that in the last one that we did. Do you want to remind people of that?
Like you want me to names? I mean, there's so many deaf businesses, so
Yeah, you can name some if you want to, or just reminding people to support deaf businesses because they're out there. But if you know some, please share them. Absolutely.
um anytime you post, right? You can put that information on, those comments or things like that. You can do that. So you can do that on your websites.
Well, the business that I know of off the top of my head is Sincerely by God, which is the shirt that I'm wearing. She's one of the people. It's a family owned deaf business, and she's one of the people that actually connected me with the interpretive service and all of that for the prayer challenge that we did. I love them, but they have shirts and hoodies. And I think her name is Erin. But yeah, Sincerely by God is the one I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, Aaron, you're right. We know Kyle and Bianca know. Yeah, Aaron, she's a great person. She's a great person. So Kyle has deaf motherhood. Also a great consumer. She sells jewelry. Yeah, and she's local. Anthony says she's in Houston. Jen's Cookies is another business. Oh, we didn't know about that. She makes Italian. then I can give you the website to Nina so she can post it when she posts the video.
Please do. Y'all know I love a
Oh
cookie now.
yeah, we love cookies. Lamprey by Myra. That's also a vendor, a deaf business person.
Is that the one with the Illy sign? I think I've seen that one too with the t-shirts.
Yep.
Okay. Thank y'all so much for sharing deaf businesses. And
Oh, wait, I have one more.
another one.
One more. Once again. Creativity. So
Oh, 58
creativity. Okay.
I've actually talked about them in my last video on the channel too. 58 Creativity has literally everything like crafts, homeschool stuff. They have they have everything. Like I love that website. So thank you for sharing them. Well, thank you all so much just for being here and doing this. I know we went way over, but this was so good. And thank y'all. I'll see y'all later.